Have you ever been on an aeroplane soaring high above the clouds? You might have gazed out of the window, watching the world shrink below. Perhaps you noticed something peculiar, a tiny, almost invisible hole at the bottom of the window pane. It's easy to miss, but it's there on every passenger window. You might have wondered, what is that for? Is it a crack? Is it a mistake? Well, I am here to tell you that this little hole is not a mistake at all. It is, in fact, a brilliant piece of engineering, a tiny feature with a hugely important job. It's one of the many clever designs that makes flying in a big metal tube through the sky incredibly safe. So let's get into it. This small opening has a name. It is called a bleed hole or sometimes a breather hole. Its main purpose is all about managing pressure. Think about it. Aeroplanes fly at very high altitudes, sometimes more than 10 kilometers, about 35,000 feet above the ground. Up there, the air is very thin, and the air pressure is very low. Inside the cabin where you are sitting, the air pressure is kept much higher, at a level that is comfortable and safe for us to breathe. This difference in pressure creates a huge force pushing outwards on the body of the plane, including its windows. The bleed hole is a crucial safety feature designed to handle this constant pressure. The bleed hole acts as a clever valve. It allows air to move slowly between the cabin and the space between the window panes. This slow, controlled exchange of air helps to balance the pressure gradually. If the pressure difference was not managed, the windows would have to withstand an enormous amount of stress, which could be dangerous over time. This tiny hole ensures that the pressure is distributed in a safe and predictable way. It's a simple solution to a very big physics problem. Without it, the windows would be under immense strain throughout every single flight, which is something engineers work very hard to avoid for obvious safety reasons. You see, science is all about understanding forces like pressure and finding smart ways to control them. The bleed hole is a perfect example of this. It's a passive system, meaning it works all by itself without any complex machinery or computers. It just sits there, quietly doing its job, making sure the enormous forces at play outside the aircraft don't pose a risk to the window structure. It's a testament to how even the smallest, most overlooked details in engineering are often the most critical. So next time you see that hole, you can think of it not as a flaw, but as a silent guardian doing its duty to keep you safe on your journey. To truly understand why the bleed hole is so important, we need to look at the window itself. An aeroplane window is not just a single sheet of glass like the ones in your house. That would be far too weak to handle the stresses of flight. Instead, it is made of 3 separate layers, or panes. The outermost pane is the structural powerhouse. It is made from a very strong, stretched acrylic material and is designed to take the full force of the cabin pressure pushing outwards. It is thick and incredibly tough, built to withstand the extreme temperature changes and the significant pressure differences it encounters at high altitudes. This outer layer is the primary barrier between you and the thin air outside. The innermost pane, the one you can actually touch from your seat, is different. This pane is often called a scratch pane or a dust cover. Its main job is to protect the other, more important panes from scratches, smudges, and accidental damage from inside the cabin. It's essentially a protective shield. If you have ever noticed it feeling a bit flimsy, that is because it is not a structural part of the window assembly. It does not bear any of the pressure load from the cabin. It is there purely for protection and to add an extra layer of insulation, helping to keep the cabin a little quieter and more comfortable for everyone on board. Now, let's talk about the middle pane. This is where our little friend, the bleed hole, is located. The middle pane is also a structural component, but it acts as a backup or a fail-safe for the outer pane. Under normal conditions, the outer pane does most of the heavy lifting, handling the vast majority of the pressure load. The middle pane is there just in case something were to happen to the outer one. This redundancy is a fundamental principle of aerospace engineering. Always have a backup system ready to take over if the primary system fails. The space between the outer and middle panes is a small air gap. The bleed hole is drilled into this middle pane. This strategic placement is key to its function. By being in the middle pane, the hole creates a connection between the air in the passenger cabin and the air in the gap between the middle and outer panes. This allows the cabin's pressurized air to seep into that gap, equalizing the pressure on the middle pane. As a result, only the strong outer pane has to deal with the significant pressure difference. It lets the middle pane relax, ready to spring into action only if it is ever needed. It's an incredibly clever way to manage forces and build in safety. The primary role of the bleed hole, as we have established, is to regulate the pressure between the window panes. Let's consider the forces at play. On the ground, the air pressure inside and outside the airplane is roughly the same. But as the plane ascends, the air pressure outside drops dramatically. Inside, the cabin is pressurized to a level equivalent to being about 2,400 meters, or 8,000 feet, up a mountain. That's still lower than sea level, but much higher than the pressure outside. This creates a powerful outward push. The bleed hole allows this cabin pressure to push on the outer pane, which is built for the job, while the middle pane experiences very little stress. This pressure regulation system is a marvel of passive engineering. It ensures that the outer pane takes on almost all the load, while the middle pane is essentially on standby. If the outer pane were to fail for any reason, an incredibly rare event it must be said, the middle pane would then immediately take over the job of containing the cabin pressure. The bleed hole would be too small to cause a dangerous, rapid depressurization. This design provides a critical layer of redundancy. It ensures that even in the unlikely event of a failure, the window system has a robust backup ready to maintain the safety and integrity of the aircraft cabin. But the bleed hole has another important job, one that directly affects your travel experience. It keeps your view clear. The air inside the cabin contains moisture from our breath and the air conditioning systems. As the airplane climbs to high altitudes, the outside temperature can drop to -50 degrees Celsius or even lower. This creates a very cold surface on the outer window pane. Without the bleed hole, the moisture trapped in the air gap between the panes would condense on the cold surface of the middle pane. This would cause the window to fog up or even form a layer of frost, completely blocking your magnificent view of the world below. The bleed hole prevents this from happening by allowing the moisture-laden air from the cabin to circulate out of the air gap. It essentially acts as a vent, keeping the air between the panes dry. By letting the dry, conditioned cabin air flow through the gap, the hole ensures that the temperature of the middle pane stays closer to the cabin temperature, preventing condensation from forming. So, that tiny hole is not just a safety device, it is also responsible for giving you that crystal clear, breathtaking view of the clouds, mountains, and cities you fly over. It is a small feature that makes a big difference to both safety and your enjoyment of the flight. The safety role of the bleed hole extends beyond just day-to-day pressure management. It is a fundamental part of the window's fail-safe design. Aerospace engineers plan for every imaginable contingency, and that includes the possibility of the outer window pane being compromised. Should a crack or fracture ever occur in that tough outer layer due to an impact from debris or some other unforeseen event, the middle pane is ready to take its place. The pressure in the cabin would instantly be held by the secondary pane, ensuring the aircraft remains secure. The bleed hole is small enough that the cabin would lose pressure very slowly, giving the pilots plenty of time to descend to a safe altitude. This concept of redundancy is at the heart of what makes modern air travel so remarkably safe. Every critical system on an airplane, from the engines to the navigation computers, has a backup. The windows are no exception. The three-pane system, with the bleed hole acting as the regulator, is a perfect illustration of this principle in action. It's a quiet, unassuming system that works tirelessly in the background. It demonstrates how engineers use simple principles of physics to create robust solutions that can withstand the extreme conditions of flight, with multiple layers of protection built in to ensure passenger safety above all else. So, the next time you settle into your seat for a flight, take a moment to find that little hole. Now you know its secret. It is not a defect or an oversight. It is a carefully calculated and brilliantly simple piece of engineering. It is a breather, a pressure regulator, and a defogger all in one. It represents the incredible attention to detail that goes into designing and building these magnificent flying machines. From the giant wings to the powerful engines, every single part, no matter how small, has a purpose. The bleed hole is a perfect reminder that sometimes the most important innovations are the ones you can barely see. Ultimately, this tiny hole is a symbol of the ingenuity that makes air travel possible. It is a silent guardian, working constantly to balance immense forces and provide a clear view of the incredible world outside. It is one of thousands of small details that come together to create a safe, reliable, and enjoyable experience for millions of passengers every single day. So, as you peer through that multi-layered window at 35,000 feet, you can feel an extra bit of confidence, knowing that even the smallest hole has a very big and very important job to do. Consider it. Science is all around us, even in the most unexpected places.